Greetings! Welcome to Nina's World. This podcast provides a short respite from the trials and tribulations of everyday life. We're going to step back in time to the 1950s and 60s. And now, our story. Nina goes to the parade. Hurry up! It's going to start soon. Everyone was excited. The Finch boys across the street, the Bartletts over the Slim Creek and up the hill, and Nina and her siblings too. The 4th of July parade was always followed by a picnic in the side yard with games and small prizes. It was one of the highlights of the summer. Outside the house, Nina's dad placed the large American flag in its holder, stood back and saluted. The girls placed their hands over their hearts. Her dad had been in the army during World War II. He was never sent overseas. He had gently explained to his children that he was one of the soldiers who took other soldiers home. Soldiers injured in the war, soldiers who needed that help, soldiers who paid a price neither his own brother or he had to pay. He told them he could never forget those men, didn't want to forget them, wanted his family to also pray for them for the rest of their lives. The folding chairs had already been set up in the side yard. The charcoal grill stood like a lady in waiting, and the picnic tables, plastic checkered tablecloth, was tucked in place. Now it was time to go to the parade. Nina exclaimed, "Come on, hurry up, it's going to start soon." Nina was thinking of the red, white, and blue banners strung between telephone poles high enough that fire engines could stream and scream in slow motion along the road beneath them, like they had done last year. Families sat on curbs or in folding chairs along the route. She expected to see babies in decorated strollers waving their arms up and down along with the music. Old ladies wearing bonnets and shawls, with their husbands dressed like Minutemen. The kids had dressed in their summer uniforms also, of shorts and shirts carrying flags. The closer Nina and her siblings got to the main road, the more they walked to get there faster. Their dad was taking his time, but not dawdling either. Music from the loudspeaker could be heard, patriotic music that always stirred Nina's heart as she sang the words she remembered learning in school and, well, didn't worry about the rest. Her father, now with the group, declared, "Let's find a place to watch. Hey, how about over there?" Amazingly, there were still some spaces on the sidewalk near a low brick wall where her dad sat as people shifted to make room for the girls. But sitting wasn't Nina's style because there was too much to look at. Even before the parade began, "Save my seat. I'll be right back." Nina walked behind the spectators. On the sidewalk was an old man, slightly stooped, pulling a red wagon with small paper bags filled with roasted peanuts. A tall, good-looking high school boy with a bevy of female admirers calling, "Ice cream, popsicles, ice cream," while pushing a refrigerated wagon. And a middle-aged volunteer with a stars and stripes sash selling snow cones, Nina's favorite, to benefit a veterans group. Testing. May I have your attention, please?" Nina went back to her family. In front of the firehouse, a wooden platform and just enough room for dignitaries like the fire marshal, police chief, and the mayor. He was busy making announcements that nobody was listening to. Nina and her sisters snickered when some junior high school boys shouted from a safe distance, "Start the parade! Hurry up!" causing impatient families to cheer them on. After an abbreviated speech, the mayor checked his wristwatch. "Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America." The police chief began, hat off, hand over his heart, and led people in the pledge. He was followed by a blessing of America from a local minister who had barely ended when the first fire engine carefully made its way forward, siren blaring, lights flashing, pausing to pick up the fire marshal as it started the fun part of the parade. Forget the curb. Everyone who could stand stood to applaud. Girls in short skirt uniforms and white boots twirled batons, tossing them in the air, and as if by magic, caught them again even when they were marching. The local high school band, populated with students who attended band camp, played familiar tunes. Their cherry and white uniforms had a gold braid looped on the shoulders, flutes and clarinets up front, brass instruments next, with the trombones, trumpets, tubas, then the drummers who kept the beat. Nina and her sisters and some of the other children began marching alongside the band, pretending to play instruments. Volunteer organizers with their sashes shooed them back to the curb. Instead of sitting down, Nina wandered off a bit, watching the people who were watching the parade. Families sitting close together, pointing, laughing, singing as Boy Scouts in tan, Little Leaguers with newly washed uniforms, and Girl Scouts in green walked along. A float decorated with bunting, large flags in each corner, bouquets of carnations, everything in brilliant red, white, and blue, was pulled by a police vehicle. And on the platform, men and women from the community who had served in the armed forces, and a few who could still fit into their uniforms. People stood and applauded, waved their small flags, and generally made a fuss. One old sailor with both hands clasped above his head like a winner in the boxing match stood. Voices from across the street, "Over here, Grandpop, over here, look over here." Per the schedule, children who had entered the bike decorating contest earlier in the day now rode their bikes at the end of the parade, some attempting to ride on the back tires only, front pointing into the air. Nina laughed as she watched the volunteers try to catch those errant stunt riders and restore order. A breeze lifting the scent of charcoal and hamburgers, making flags flutter, and tossing napkins into somersaults also caressed Nina's face. She leaned down to pick up some of the papers for the trash, and then she saw a solitary dollar bill among them. Nina went to pick it up, but it took her on a merry chase as it danced its way across the street. Undeterred, Nina followed. Each time she reached for it, the breeze pushed it a little this way, a little that, over the next curb until it landed. Nina tripped on the grass before she could stomp on it. "Oh, my knee!" Nina stood, looked at her knee. Not much blood, but a lot of newly cut grass and a scraped skin as her reward for avarice. "Is this what you're looking for?" A man on crutches stood near her. As she looked up, the man smiled and nodded toward one of his crutches. Under it, the dollar bill. Nina stood, rubbing her knee, then realized that the lower part of one of his legs was missing. She inhaled quickly, looked around, not sure what to say or what to do. She thought of what happened when she had met her friend Buddy and realized there was nothing to worry about. It's okay. You can take the dollar. I watched you chasing it for dear life. You grab hold and I'll lift my crutch. Go on now. Well, Nina hesitated, wondered who the man was and why he only had half a leg. Nina grasped the dollar. Then the man lifted his crutch. She said reluctantly, You caught the dollar. You should keep it. Nina didn't want to surrender it after all the effort, but thought it rightfully belonged to the stranger. He laughed. Why, it was worth $1 just to watch you not give up. You keep it. You enjoy spending it on something special. He paused. You're looking at where the rest of my legs should be, aren't you? Oh, that's okay. Lots of people do. No reason to be embarrassed. But Nina was embarrassed, didn't know what to say, didn't want to stare at the empty space, so she looked up. The man smiled, pointed to a pin in the shape of a heart, a purple heart, hanging from a thin strip of metal. The government gave me this doohickey, this medal, 'cause my boot got caught and I couldn't run away from a blast. Yeah, that was a bad day. A bad day. But they fixed me up the best they could, helped me to learn to walk with these crutches, and I'm doing okay. Even have a job where it don't matter much about my leg. I come to the parade every year, but I'd rather not be in the parade. Nina paused and responded. My dad was in the war. He took soldiers home who needed help to get home. With a touch of whimsy, the man said, He must be a good man. I wonder if he was the soldier who helped me. Well, right over there. He's right over there with my sisters. Do you want to meet him? I'll go get him. No, that's okay. He's probably wondering what happened to you, though. You go on ahead now. And don't spend that $1 on too much candy. Thank you, mister. Thanks a lot. Nina held the dollar tightly in her fist, rubbed the damp grass and dirt from her knee, and looked both ways this time, crossed the street slowly, wondering about the man, a soldier from the war, hurt but didn't seem mad about it. She decided she would remember him the way her father remembered the soldiers he had known. Only her soldier helped her, not just by capturing the dollar, but, by telling his story. And if there was one thing Nina liked, it was listening to stories. Not so far away, Nina saw her dad with a hint of worry on his brow, and her sisters on tiptoes searching the crowd, her family together, waiting for her return. With a new thought in her head, she ran to them. Daddy, look what I found, a whole $1. I had to chase it, and that man over there used his crutch to trap it. But here it is, Daddy. He was a soldier in the war, too. He got hurt, but... Nina paused to catch her breath. Her sisters crowding around her. They all looked in the direction Nina was pointing, but there was no man there. The soldier had started walking towards home as soon as Nina started across the street. Nina wondered if he would be okay. Daddy, snow cones are 15 cents each. Do I have enough money for everybody to have one? We can take one home to Mommy, even if it melts on the way. He looked down, a curious smile, his heart filled with gratitude. He gathered his daughters close, then reached into his trouser pocket and pulled out a handful of coins, replying, "Girls, we'll always have enough, and maybe a little bit more to share." The end. Thank you for visiting with us today. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to this podcast and share it with everyone you know. Return next week for another story from Nina's World. This story was written and read by Christine McKee, with gratitude to Dr. Ethel Ratkin of Bucks County Community College for editorial consultation and encouragement. Additional heartfelt support from family, friends, and members of my writing groups. Technical support was provided by Mr. Dan Tarrant of Personally Catholic. Sound engineering by Mr. Andrew Kimmock of AK Productions. May you embrace peace in your heart, in your home, and in your world.